I have no desire to ever even look at this book ever again in my entire life. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know, my name is Faith and thank you so much for watching. I actually need to start this week with an apology to you all. If you watched last week's video, you might know that I was planning on doing a massive indie author shout out in this video, but unfortunately life just did not work out that way. I've spent almost all day, almost every single day this week helping my mom build her website for her business. She sells homegrown loofah sponges and dish scrubs and bar soaps and foot scrubs, so if that is something you're interested in, I have been building a website for her so she can ship all over the US. Yes, it is only the US right now. If you are interested in that and you don't live in the US, I apologize. At the time I'm posting this video, that website is live, so I will put the link to it in the description below. She works very hard on her business, so please check that out. It would mean a lot. I also had something very stressful happen at the beginning of the week, but I'm not gonna get into that. Just know I still will be doing that massive indie author shout out. It just will not happen this week. So again, I do apologize for that. But with all of that being said, let's get into the new plan for this week's video, which is going through my massive book unhaul. I have like 10 to 15 books right now that literally just won't fit on my bookshelves, so I need to get rid of some books. And I definitely need to go through my bookshelf again because I'm sure there's more than I want to get rid of, but this is what I have for now. And I will say, when I say massive book unhaul, I mean massive to me. I was scrolling through Instagram about 10 minutes before I filmed this video and I saw someone say they did a 200+ book unhaul. Just know mine is not that big, but it's still big to me. So let's go through these books. The first book that I'm getting rid of is Too Late by Colleen Hoover. This book literally starts with the FMC being raped by her boyfriend. I wish I was kidding, but literally the first sentence of this book is her waking up while her boyfriend is raping her while she's asleep. So that was a pretty quick DNF for me. I do not want this book on my bookshelf. The next book is By a Thread by Lucy Score. This book I actually did finish and it was fine, but I'm definitely never going to reread it again. Nothing really stuck out to me to make it different from any other romance book that I've ever read. And I just have too many books that I actually enjoyed that I can't fit onto my shelf, that I don't want to have that room being taken up by a book that I didn't really enjoy. So By a Thread, goodbye. And then we have another Colleen Hoover book, Confess. I read this a couple years ago and I know at the time it was my lowest rated Colleen Hoover book. I remember pretty much nothing about this book other than it was kind of boring. I didn't really like either of the characters. So again, I just don't want this book sitting on my shelf, so I'm getting rid of it. And next is yet another Colleen Hoover book, Heart Bones. I did not vibe with this book at all. The FMC was pretty annoying in my opinion. I didn't really like the MMC either. When the FMC was a teenager, she had to suck a guy off for money more than once. And when her dad found out about that, he just didn't care enough, in my opinion. He didn't like not care, but he definitely didn't make it as big of a deal as it should have been. Again, just not really a book that I want taking up room on my bookshelf. And we have yet another Colleen Hoover, Without Merit. This is another one I read a couple years ago. I don't remember much about this book, but what I do remember is that the FMC was sexually abused by her brother when she was a small child. And when that finally comes to light and the family finds out about that, they don't really care. Like, at all. Yeah, that's weird. That is very weird to me. Their reactions made no sense. Again, if I was the parent in that situation, I would have raised hell. So yeah, again, not a book I want on my bookshelf. I'm noticing a theme with these Colleen Hoover books here, and dare I say, I don't like it. And next we have not a Colleen Hoover book, Five Broken Blades by Mai Corland. This book just wasn't my vibe, to be honest. I don't think it was bad, it just wasn't for me. I DNF'd around page 100, and at that point in a fantasy book, we should definitely have established some sort of world building. Pretty much every chapter up to that point was from a different character's point of view, so by page 100, I didn't really care about any of the characters because I had only really heard from them for like maybe 10 pages a piece, and at that point, I feel like you definitely should have some sort of feelings for the characters. And also with the point of view switches, I was just really confused about what was going on. There was also a fairly graphic attempted rape scene in chapter 3, I believe, and yes, there was a trigger warning for that, but I guess I just didn't expect it to happen that soon in the book or be that graphic. So yeah, I just really feel at the end of the day it wasn't for me, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. And unfortunately, I did buy book 2, so I will also be getting rid of that one. You guys will never guess who wrote the next book. Just kidding, you probably knew that right away, but it is Never Never by Colleen Hoover. This book is literally built around the memory loss trope, which is my least favorite trope ever to have existed, ever. I hate it so much. I hate it with my entire being. I hate it. I would also like to add, because I forgot, this was also written by Taryn Fisher. The premise had potential, it was just executed very poorly. The book starts with them literally having no idea who they are, but then they solve everything very quickly. Like, it starts with her in class at school, and I'm pretty sure the teacher's asking her a question, and she pretty much immediately clocks in, oh, this is where I'm at, this is what I need to be doing, with like zero effort. And I forget at what point I DNF'd it, but the entire time I read it, everything was like that. Like, they almost needed nothing to clue into what was happening, and they just pretty much figured out everything about their lives immediately. Like, the entire thing was just bad. I think it would have been good if they actually had to go into some effort to figure out what was happening to them, but they pretty much did not. So goodbye, never, never. And then we have my most recent DNF, which was The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I have no idea how to say that last name. This book was just so boring. I didn't like it at all. About 40% of the way through this book, I put a poll on my Instagram story asking if the end was worth it. And even though the majority of people said yes, finish it, I decided to DNF after reading about 10 to 15% more because it was just so boring. And to me, a book that is literally only good for the last 5 to 10% of it isn't a good book if 90 to 95% of it was just bad. I have too many books that I actually do want to read, so it just wasn't worth it to me to continue on one that I was not enjoying. So goodbye, The Silent Patient. And to no surprise, next up we have another Colleen Hoover book, Reminders of Him. This was yet another DNF for me. The FMC was so annoying. She tried way too hard to be that quirky, mysterious girl sitting in the dark corner of the bar. And if you're thinking, Faith, it can't be that bad, you're exaggerating. No. At one point, she's literally sitting in a dark corner of a bar thinking, I need to remain mysterious so people don't realize I've been to jail. So goodbye, Reminders of Him. And then we have Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Verne. This book was so boring. Notice how he's on a blimp. Do you know how many times this man steps foot onto a blimp in this book? Not one. So tell me why every single cover I've ever seen for this book is him on a blimp. I have no idea. I thought this book would be so fun, so adventurous. No, it is literally so boring. I have no desire to ever even look at this book ever again in my entire life. I just don't want it on my shelf ever again. And then we have a 7th Colleen Hoover book, Regretting You. This is another one that I DNF'd because I just did not like the characters. I've said this in like 4 or 5 of my videos at this point, but if you're asking yourself, Faith, why did you own so many Colleen Hoover books? I had a phase a few years ago when I got back into reading, and that is why I own them. And at the time I got the books, I did actually like a few of them, but the last 5 or 6 that I've read of hers have all been a DNF almost immediately just because I cannot stand them. And that DNF because I couldn't stand them includes this book. All of the characters annoyed me. I didn't like the premise at all. So yeah, I don't want this on my shelf either. So Regretting You, more like regretting buying you. I'll see myself out. Those are the 12 books that I'm getting rid of. That being said, I still literally have no room on my bookshelf. A lot of those have been sitting in a box in my room for months, and I have literally bought more books since then, which is why I still don't have space in my bookshelf, which is also why I'm gonna have to go through my bookshelf again to see what other books I want to get rid of. Is 12 actually a massive book unhaul? For the average booktuber, bookstreamer, booktucker, probably not. But for me, it definitely is. I don't think I've ever gotten rid of that many books at once, literally ever. So for me, that's a lot of books to part with. Some of these are listed on my Pango books, which I will link in the description and in my bio. So if you want any of these, feel free to go check them out there. If you see one you want that's not on my Pango, feel free to leave a comment and I will list it if I still have it. Next week is the 4th episode in my series where I compare books to their film or TV show adaptation, and we're doing Little Women. So if you're a fan of Little Women, like I am, be sure to subscribe so that you see that video when it comes out. My last 2 videos were pretty long, and my next 3 are gonna be pretty long, so I tried to keep this as short as I could. That being said, that is all that I have for you guys today. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow my Instagram, which is linked in the... My dog keeps interrupting me. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow my Instagram, which is linked in the description below for more bookish content. I apologize if you hear my dog barking in the background. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Love you guys. Bye.